Whimper. In her final moments, I watched the end of the world consume my mother. I sat by her bedside in her uptown apartment. The heat of summer pervaded everything. We lost power 2 days ago, so the air conditioning no longer worked. My last clean shirt stuck to my body. I initially left the windows open, but the fire on West Side turned the sky yellow with smoke. The breeze from the ocean never came. The world came to a standstill. My mother shifted under her 3 layers of comforters. The disease from the stars kept its victims freezing. They call it malice. She moaned in pain. I reached over and wiped the sweat from her brow. I remained careful not to touch the black spikes protruding from her right eye and cheek. I supposed it didn't matter anymore in a brief moment of sadness. I shoved the feeling into the back of my mind. I had to be strong for her, even though malice probably grew into her brain. The telltale growths, sharp and dark as obsidian, covered most of her body, just as it did everyone else's. "Are you there? Are you listening to me?" I took her left hand. I felt the tendons cold and unyielding. "I'm here, Mom. Just rest." She stared at the ceiling with her last good eye, though its veins had also turned black. Give it a day, an hour, a minute, and it would burst under the pressure of the illness. If I looked hard enough, I could watch them growing through her skin. They never stopped. When my sister had died in the hospital, entire rooms had been consumed by the black glass. Malice is the last thing growing on Earth, a dead forest of which the 2 of us were the only ones left. "The birds aren't singing." "I know, Mom. They've left for south. They'll be back." Her left eye turned towards me, seeing but not seeing me. "You sound sad. Is there something wrong? Am I still here?" I smiled thinly. "Still here, Mama Bear. And I'm just tired." She shifted her head to look out the window. "Tired. The bombs fall." My face contorted. Her words held no distinct meaning. Words of a poem I couldn't understand. Was this death? The world morphing into a dream? "Rest, Mom," I managed to choke out. "Just rest." I heard an explosion in the distance. Other people managed to survive, but the world fell apart and soon after fell apart. I scavenged for enough supplies in the early days after my sister passed. There was no need to leave the apartment. I scarcely left my mother's bedside, being all that I had left in the world. Her breath hitched. I grabbed the glass of water on the bedside table and held it to her lips. She managed a few sips before coughing violently. As I moved away, she grabbed me. "Where is your father?" I gently removed her grip, ignoring the blood dripping from my arm. "He just went to get you some ice cream, Mom. He'll be back home soon." My mother smiled, a horrid, crooked smile. I saw the spikes coming from her gums and teeth. Worst of all, it was lucid. "He's a good man, always looking out for us. I hope he gets mint chocolate chip." The smile disappeared, and she started crying. "You shouldn't be here. I could get you sick." I leaned over and kissed her forehead. "I don't care. I'll be with you until you get better, and then I'll still be here." She smiled again. "You're a good boy." The disease took over her gaze. She snuggled deep into the blankets, murmuring words I couldn't hear. I dabbed her forehead with the towel and settled back into my chair. I mulled over the world, malice taking it unaware. The great powers of the world collapsed into valleys of death, the towers around me sepulchres of bodies. They did not rot. The corpses forever held sleeping things. My mother was one of the wretched hosts, and then one day it would be me. Life stretched until snapped in twain and twain again. The end of any and all. I startled awake. In the light of the setting sun, I saw my mother, dead and contorted. Malice took her into its arms as it snatched my father and sister. What was left of her face seemed serene amongst the glass. neither happy nor sad, just bliss in a hopeless eternity. I stared at her body for several hours, afraid to move or make a sound. The light left me alone in the dark, alone forever, unworthy of the death that took everyone else.